So here's some of the citrus seedlings I featured in a previous video. So they're growing in the container. They used to have this clone in it, but it's a Honey Tangerine. And they were put in as seeds on March 31st, so 2 months ago from today. And then they took about a month to sprout. And so they've been growing for a month. And believe it or not, I haven't actually watered them since the initial saturation of the growing medium for the sprouting. And that's the real key to citrus. Not necessarily key to sprouting, and the key to sprouting of them is to have pretty warm temperature and to use very fresh seed, like directly from the fruit, basically. And the key to growing them, especially indoors in a container, is growing medium, just like anything else. And citrus wants very aerated growing medium, so something that breathes very well and it can handle very low moisture. So this is just, taking moisture from the air, and maybe there's probably some trapped down here possibly. This is just composted wood chips, and that holds on to moisture really well. So you can see there's different kind of levels of vigor for different of the seedlings. There's some that are really small and didn't really take off, and you can see some of those down there. And then some of these that came up very early that are already on their second, third true leaf. They have a really nice color to them. Again, not feeding them anything or even watering them. So I think it's time to take them out. We could have taken them out much longer ago, maybe even a month, 3 weeks ago. As soon as you have some cotyledons to grab them by, and with tree tree saplings like this, you can grab them by the stem. It's not as big of a deal as with herbaceous annuals. So I could have done this a while ago, but subjecting them to a bit of competition might have been a good thing. And the other thing is that we're not going to have the information of if any of them were polyembryonic, as we discussed previously in that other video. Check that out, as a way of telling whether you have a clone possibly of the mother plant. Alright, so that's actually looking really good. There's a fresh new root there, and you can see these kind of they're kind of like zigzaggy, squarish, thick roots that are typical of citrus. And citrus generally don't have a lot of very fine roots, which would kind of make sense in a very arid, sandy soil. Those probably wouldn't make it very long. Be too dry. Okay, so I already have some coming out. And I guess we can still see the seed there. Making a huge mess. So let me see here. Yeah, so here's some polyembryonic ones right here. Like that. There's a single seed with two. One seemingly of higher vigor than the other. Now, is it the sexual reproduction or the asexual reproduction that's higher vigor? I'm not exactly sure. We might be able to look that up. But that's kind of cool. So here's a really nice one. And again, you can use them as rootstock while you wait for it to reach maturity for fruit, which takes quite a long time for most citrus species. But yeah, look at all these that we got. Could start a whole nursery here. And yeah, you can see that this one's actually doing really well on this kind of nub of a root. I might have broken some of that off, but probably not actually. That's just how citrus is. You can see that these best ones really don't have any very fine roots at all. And so the easiest way to kill citrus is to put it into a very rich medium. So like composted wood chips is a good one to do it with if you water them. As you saw, I didn't water them at all, and this stuff is pretty much bone dry. Kind of compare the color of that to that, which is wet. And so a good mix for growing medium for citrus would be probably something very similar to bonsai. And this is what I have down here, some stuff I was using for bonsai that I've added extra wood chips to. So typically bonsai would be something like 40% perlite, 40% fuller's earth, or diatomaceous earth, and then 20% pine bark or wood compost or something like that. So I'm using something similar here that I'm going to pot these up in, but I'm heavier on the organic component. I have about 40 to 50% composted wood chips here, and then the rest is half perlite and half diatomaceous earth, which you can find in auto shops actually as an oil absorber. So yeah, there you go. That's actually a really nice root system. So these wood, actually, citrus is very conducive because of its arid conditions that it's used to. It's very conducive to bonsai. And that's all about pruning the top and pruning the roots. You want to spread out flat root system for bonsai plant. So you can start that right off. You'd probably let this grow for a while to get a bunch of vigor, to thicken up the stem and stuff, and have an early kind of preparatory phase for possibly many years before you made a bonsai out of this. Or you could start right away. You'd probably make your root base somewhere here, but trimming down to this could make it, but you possibly compromise that plant. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pot all these up, and we're going to keep on growing them indoors. Get rid of these weak ones. Select maybe down to 10. Maybe try some of these ones that have multiple coming out of one seed. And we'll keep you guys updated. Alright, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on growing.